What I want to say is that, and I'm not very happy to say it, but it is the repeat of a 20-year-old story. I ran a biotechnology company for 30 years, and at that time, everybody asked the same questions. Oh, it is made in India. Oh, will it be good? Will it? Then it was much cheaper than the imported equipment, but it was also better because it was designed with certain elements that the experiment will not fail. So that was a big struggle at that time, and the reason why it was accepted was because we did a project under Dr. Kalam, who was that time chief scientific advisor to Government of India. Extremely humble, extremely knowledgeable man. He would open the door for me and say, "Oh, come, come, you have come to meet my assistant," and all of that. And before that, at that time, TIFAC, India, the Technology Forecasting Assessment Council of India, had organized an international event, which was, there used to be an organization called IATAFI, International Association of Technology Forecasting bodies, okay, which I think it doesn't exist anymore. But that kind of organization is required to, especially to analyze, evaluate technologies like our solutions and see, because they are globally valid. Anyway, so at the Yatafi conference, I presented a paper saying we do not get funding to take any from the idea to the pilot scale. Okay, students like yourself who have done masters, your team, you have an idea that you can create something, but nobody will give you the money. So this is required, and it can be factored that they can return it, after 5 years when you commercialize your idea, whatever. So at one TIFAC conference, TIFAC announced funding of 5 lakhs for all the inventors who would come with a valuable idea. And I think 10 or 12 of us got funding. So my company at the time, Technosource, we developed 3 biotechnology research apparatus with that money. And some people did develop something and some people didn't develop, but on the whole, I think it was a success. And I think now those kind of things are not being continued by the science foundations in India, although Department of Science and Technology did fund my research project for the effluent treatment of the carpet industry. But I think it should be done on a more large scale, in a large scale way, to promote the development of technologies. So after that, now 30 years down the line, I'm still crying on the same issues that it's a new technology, nobody's giving me money, everybody says startup, angel funding. We are not a startup. We have already shown successfully our thing at commercial level.
And what role do you think that, like we are talking about researchers, we are talking about funding those researchers by students. So what role do you think that today as universities, at scientific labs, play for these students?
Yes, I mentor the students from the Innovation Center at IIT BHU. And I'll give you one example very briefly if you have the time, that I was evaluating the newly developed products. Okay, so various IITs were there. So let me not name who did what, but some had brought up, one had brought up that we will propagate the growing of mushrooms. Okay, this is some years ago. So it's a good food and this and that. Okay, so you're going to grow mushrooms. How are you going to sell it? Then in Banaras, or in North India for that example, traditional vegetarian food does not include mushroom. Okay, so when you have excess product, how will you preserve it? What will you do with it? Will you dry it, make into powder for soup, whatever it is? They hadn't thought of anything. So we'll grow mushrooms and we'll sell it, and this is the thing. Another set of students had developed a bracelet that will give an indication for autistic children. So it would tell you that that child is getting agitated. So you could then, because autism may children get agitated from their surroundings, from their temperature, or some new person has entered the room. So you could make out that that child is going to be agitated, and you could see what is the reason, or move that child out of the room. So that was the comparison. So so in when youth also, they have to think it through. So one set had done it and one set had not done it at all, so which was very disappointing to me. So you have to think, this is a mushroom is not a product that vegetarian people eat every day. So will you export it? Will you preserve it? Will you make powder? Whatever it is, the economic downturn of that whole system. So that is my message to the youth. It's, you have to get into sustainable solutions and products. It's the way forward. There's no thing out of it, but you have to think it through. Like somebody had designed some edible spoons, for example. Now, nobody's going to finish their meal and then eat the spoon, no? Which is tasteless. So that's what I mean by thinking through. So then somebody made a comment to the Chinese people that you don't talk to us about saving the environment. You all use so much wood for your chopsticks. So they said that is made from bamboo. We are not cutting trees. And you are using toilet paper, which is much more than the what we are using in chopsticks. So this thinking has to emerge. Everyone wants to preach to somebody you're using chopsticks. His chopsticks is not environmentally damaging as much as European use of toilet paper. You're cutting the trees, you're making paper, and you're throwing it. So this is my point. I don't know how that will emerge, but I think it will. So this thinking has to emerge. And secondly, the funding has to emerge. The encouragement towards knowing how to evaluate a new idea and supporting it financially. Those instruments have to emerge. That okay, that you say that this is the thing, I will demonstrate this prototype, and then you should be getting some funding for that. When you can show the capability of making it, and then the commercialization funding is required when you've designed something. So then you have to manufacture it. So in phases they can fund. But nowadays nobody wants to fund easily to science and technology.